Hey guys, and down here, this is going to be my chapter review to My Hero Academia, or Boku no Hero Academia 245, Rising to Action. And we start off, I actually thought this chapter was pretty decent. I enjoyed it. There's nothing wrong with it per se. It was a direct continuation from last chapter. We got to see a little bit more from Endeavor. We got to see a little bit more of the thought process behind Hawks. And we got to see what the League of Villains are thinking. So it was a pretty decent chapter. So the first thing we see is Endeavor very, very quickly realizing how off this all feels. He's looking at Hawks' face, and he remembers what he said to him when he was just smiling like a goofball. And he's like, I want to create a world where heroes have more free time than they know what to do with. And he's looking over at Hawks, and Hawks is completely deadpan face, looks very serious. And he's like, what's with this face he's making? He doesn't look like the Hawks I know. Something's definitely up. And I love that Endeavor was able to pick up on this, because even Hawks later on in this chapter is like, Endeavor's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And I'm just like, this is why originally I'd said that, Endeavor would make such a good mentor and such a good teacher for someone like Bakugo, because they're both very hot-headed, hot-blooded, very explosive, volatile. But that doesn't mean they're idiots, right? Bakugo he's not meant to be. Bakugo is a very intelligent young man, and Endeavor is a very, very intelligent man, older man. And it's not that he's unable to think. It's just that he's very hot-blooded, very very kind of egotistical, very forward, very kind of type A individual. But that doesn't mean he can't think, and he's very calm in this situation. So he's using those 3 brain cells he probably does have, more than that obviously. But he's using his brain power, and he's looking over at Hawks, and he's feeling it. That vibe doesn't feel right. All the bodily clues that Hawks is giving off, he's like, nah, your body language is wrong, your face is wrong, everything's wrong with this situation. So Hawks gives him the book, and he's like, make sure you take a read. Deku's like, oh my god, a recommended reading from the number 2 hero. Maybe like there's something behind it. Maybe it's a secret to his speed or some shit like that. Hawks very quickly turns around, smiley, all happy and stuff like that. A very direct contradiction to what the face he was showing to Endeavor. And he gives out copies to Deku, Shoto, and Bakugo and stuff like that. And then he just makes small talk with the kids and stuff like that. With Deku thinking that he has this book, loads of copies of this book, because he must be doing missionary work and all that stuff. Hawks tells him there and then, he's like, I'm giving this book to all my acquaintances, all my fellow heroes as recommended reading. I truly believe in the book. At the very least, the liberation ideology will form like a groundwork of what society can build on in this from this moment onwards. That's what he's believing in. So he gives Endeavor one last kind of side eye. And he's like, make sure you look over the sections I marked, if nothing else. I especially recommend the second one. So you can see in Endeavor's entire body language, he's very stiff, very kind of, his eyes they're whited out, he's glaring, he looks intimidating, and that's because he's focused as fuck. Endeavor knows something is wrong. He knows that something is up, and if something's up with the number 2 hero, it's a big situation. Especially if you can't outright say it to the number 1 hero. There's a big situation at foot here, and Endeavor knows he can't slip up, or otherwise maybe someone's life will be at stake, and maybe someone he knows, like Hawks. So we then see Deku makes mention of the fact that Hawks is only a little bit older than us, and he's already the number 2 and stuff like that. So then we go back to Endeavor's offices, where we see his sidekicks. There's this mummy-looking dude. There's this goat-looking dude. I'm not sure what the frick, that goat-looking, horse-looking dude. And there's this guy who looks like some sort of Oni with 2 horns, but it's not really attached to his head. Then we see the main one, who's this lady with flaming hair, really sharp teeth. She's wearing a double-breasted blazer of some sort. And she definitely does leg day. But she apparently her name is Burnin. She's meant to be a really famous sidekick of Endeavor's, and she's basically there telling the kids what's up. She's like, we're going to put you to work from day 1. It's a large operation. We have over 30 sidekicks here. Bakugo takes this as, so you want us to, we have to outshine the pros in order to make it around here. That's all right, cool. And the sidekicks seem very kind of, I'm not sure, but I'm hoping they're going to be powerful and they show us more of their shit later on, but they seem to be very goofy at the moment. And then Bakugo very, very quickly kind of picks up on the fact that, after Mummy Guy says, for the most part, we rotate patrols and standby shifts, we take emergencies, bodyguard work, event offers, all that type of shit. Usually about 100, over 100 requests every day. Bakugo's obviously like very keen to get started. He's like, I'm still in a bad mood from the Hawks guy doing all his shit and stealing our prey, essentially. And then Mummy Guy's like, we're just going to wait for Endeavor's orders. We don't really have anything that we're going to do per se right now. Bakugo's pissed off about that. And I was like, okay, this is all just small talk kind of essentially in this chapter. What we're looking for is this part where we go to Endeavor's office and he's just there by himself and he's looking down at the book and he's like, he's there again thinking about what he showed us with his body, but now he's, we're in his mind and we're able to see what he's thinking. And he's like, something doesn't add up here. And he's thinking about Hawks' behavior, Hawks' words, about Hawks one of the first few times he met him, Hawks was talking to Endeavor and he was like, you can tell everyone to rest easy. You can be the number one hero. You can be the kind of beacon society looks to, and the kind of like the North Star of society, and lead everyone towards this new path. And then very, very contradictory is what he said just a few hours ago, which is a society where everyone can look out for themselves, where everyone is number one, and they don't depend on anybody else. It really fits this era. And he's like, Endeavor's very, like I said, he's very intelligent. He picks this up straight away, and it's been like, maybe, I'm not sure how long it took to get to his offices or his office, but it's not been very long, and he understands straight away from his body language, from what he said. His memory is very good, like that's evident. He's able to pick up on the fact that, one thing he said to me a few weeks ago and one thing he said today, it's not matching up and it's not marrying right. So he's completely contradicting himself. And then he picks up on the fact that, Hawks is a very, very honest person and genuine person, in the sense of, if he's saying something, he'll be smiling about it. He'll believe in it. He won't hide his feelings. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, essentially, and that's what Endeavor's like. That's what I thought. But then, when he was around me, he was always clowning around. But this today was the exact opposite. His face was deadpan. He's giving me this death glare, and he's like, something's wrong. Something's wrong with this book. Something's wrong with this ideology he says he's following, and all of his actions today. These aren't his true feelings. So then he plays back the conversation of what Hawks was saying to him in his head. He's like, okay, I don't have a lot of time to read this. He said specifically to read the second one. He recommends the second one. So I was like, okay, what does he mean by the second one? Does he mean like the second chapter? Is there something that he highlighted there? Does he mean like the second part of the book? There might be a second part of it that he alludes to in the first one or some shit like that. And that's Endeavor's doing the exact same thing. He's working out what Hawks was trying to say, and then he very, very quickly, like within about 5-10 seconds, picks up on what Hawks was trying to tell him. The second word of each marked section is what Hawks wanted him to read, and this is where I was saying that Hawks is there thinking about he's notified the Public Safety Commission with an encoded message of, I assume, the same thing that he's trying to notify Endeavor about. But he's worried that Endeavor isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, and it might be a little bit too deep or a little bit too logical for someone like Endeavor to figure out. And he then, like, props to Hawks, to be fair. With all of this on his mind, knowing that maybe Endeavor wouldn't pick up on it, he made sure to show it through his facial expression, through his body language and all that stuff. So he did a really good job of making it obvious to someone who could see him at the least, without outright telling them that something was up. Anyway, Endeavor then is skimming through the book, shitting his pants essentially, because he's reading some really big time stuff. The enemy, Liberation Army, the League, Takeover, their numbers are over 100,000. This is when Endeavor's like, yo, shit, this is big news. We know that Hawks couldn't really tell Endeavor anything more than that because of the devices in his wings or on his wings, and writing or telecommunications, all of that were impossible. We then go back to the League with Gigantomachia in the back. I really like this this blacked out panel where we see Spinner, we see Deadpool, we see Toga, we see Dabi, we see Magician Dude, Hawks in the middle, we see Gorilla Dude, we see is he the freaking, I think he might be the government dude, and we see Rikia, I think it is, and then we see Gigantomachia behind him, and it's just a blacked out panel. It looks so cool because of Hawks' wings are blacked out as well. It looks awesome. I don't know what it is about it. It just looks so cool. Anyway, Hawks' guise here is that he's promoting the ideology of the Liberation Army. What's his name? Twice is just like, yeah, you're a really great guy. I'd like to have him as my subordinate. Hawks is telling him that the Public Safety Commission still thinks that the League's numbers are small. They're still in hiding. They aren't aware of the Liberation Army's existence. They're still investigating whether the League had any connections to the Dacre City incident. But apparently their soldiers are doing a good job of pulling the wool over their eyes. So there's definitely a whole bunch of different people that have infiltrated not just heroes, the Hero Society at large, but the Public Safety Commission, the government, all that type of stuff that should be non-impregnable. I've forgotten what the opposite of impregnable is, but that puts the League and the Liberation Army in a really good position, and it might have been due to the acquisition of the Liberation Army that they're able to do stuff like this, and I'm thinking most definitely it was. So then the gorilla dude picks up on something Hawks mentions in terms of the next generation of heroes being cultivated. Endeavor has 3 of them is something that the gorillas dude mentions, and Magician dude is like, yeah, Izuku's there. So they know where Izuku is, they know where Bakugo is, and they know where Shoto is. And if Dabi has any connection to Shoto, that's going to be a big thing. But also the League has a very big connection to both Bakugo and, in particular, Deku. So they know where all 3 of these guys are, and that's going to be dangerous because they've all got targets on their backs, right? Anyway, Hawks is dismissed, and then he uses his wings and his feathers to pick up on what's being said in the meeting room. So apparently the Spinner is asked if they can proceed according to the plan. He says yes, make sure to keep up the troops and morale. Once Tomura gets that power, so this is Shigaraki, we'll finally be able to finally be ready to do it. So first off is, what's that power? And the it is answered later on, where Toga is just like, it'll all go boom, everything will be destroyed by Tomura. So everything is kind of like a very vague word to use, in the sense of what's going to be destroyed. You can't say everything, right? You're not going to destroy the whole of Japan, right? I don't know, but we see Endeavor here. He's still reading through the book, and he sees that 4 months from now is when this action will occur, when Tomura and the League will go and make everything go boom. I really like the panel here where we see Tomura with his hair just whited out, and it looks like the sun shining on his back. It looks awesome, and he looks very, very eerie. But in terms of moving forward, that's how the chapter ends. In terms of moving forward, Endeavor now knows what the plans, what the general consensus of plan is within the League, and he has 3 people within his internship right now, Shoto, Bakugo, and Deku, who have targets painted on their backs, like real large targets, and he's in a position where he can really make a difference to these 3 kids. He can not only educate them in terms of like how to deal with villains, especially very dangerous villains, people on the level like that high-end Nomu and stuff like that, teach them new skills, teach them how to coordinate and stuff like that, but he can teach them essentially what All Might couldn't. So just show them the way to be a freaking hero, and this is the time for him to tighten up and really take these kids to the next level, because if he doesn't, they're going to be in a really shit situation. So I'm hoping what he'll do from this is realize that society at large we're going to be fucked in 4 months if we don't do something about it. I've got 3 up and coming heroes who I can really, really drill for the next third of a year and get them popping by the end of it. So I'm hoping that's what he realizes, and that's what he does, and he absolutely smashes the training into these 3 kids to be able to not only back themselves up, but back up each other and pop off against the League. That's what I think. That's what I hope. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Let me know what you guys thought of this chapter, especially. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.